I'm going to now talk about some of these scandals going on in Minnesota, family. I know that's what y'all tuning in here for. FBA certified. Peace and power, family. This is your boy Shane the Artist, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Rebellious Rhymer Podcast. That's right, family. Black conservatism without the buck dancing, yo. So we are going to be talking about some of these Somalians running amok, man, in Minnesota. Some of these Somalians are running amok in Minnesota. Now, does that mean that is that to condemn the whole Somali community in Minnesota? No, it's not. But it still has to be addressed. It still has to be addressed because we have $400 million. Okay, that's $500 million of taxpayer money possibly going off to terrorist groups connected to Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, and to other type of fraudulent activities and things like that. Let's get into it. Let's get into it, family. So, and this is going on in the state of Minnesota, okay, which has, since the 90s, have become a bit of a, how do you want to say it, a homestead or a safe haven to for Somali immigrants, okay? They done infiltrated the police force, the government, the streets, every which way. Okay, now that's not to say that, like I said before, I'm not saying that, I'm not making a broad sweeping generalization of the Somali community in Minnesota, but the ones who I'm talking about are the ones who I'm talking about. If that shoe fits, then wear it, okay? Okay, let's talk about the Feeding Our Future scandal, okay? That's the Feeding Our Future scandal, okay? Federal prosecutors charged 78 individuals in what is considered the largest pandemic fraud in the nation's history. The largest pandemic fraud in this nation's history, okay? $250 million in child nutrition programs, okay? Now this is a census from 2023. So that number, that 250 million, that number done went up. That number done went up, okay? So lawmakers and investigative reports from the Manhattan Institute, which is a conservative think tank, the Manhattan Institute have highlighted a wider pattern of alleged fraud in other programs such as Medicaid, housing assistance, claiming the total amount across various schemes. In 2023 was around 399 million. State inspected the program to cost 2.6 million, but obviously that wasn't the case because I'm quite sure we are heading over 400 million today in 2025 because this is from 2023. Okay, so it went from 100 million to 400 million within the last couple of years, last 5 years or so. So I see that as an issue, family, because this is taxpayer dollars. This is, the people of Minnesota, the American citizens of Minnesota, and just the taxpayer in general is fitting the bill for all of this. We're fitting the bill for all of this, man. And that is the issue. That's the issue. Patterns of alleged fraud in other programs such as Medicaid, housing assistance, claiming the total amount across various schemes of 2023 was around 399 million. Like I said before, state expected the program to cost 2.6 million. There's also terrorism allegations. Okay, and we're going to get into that. Terrorism allegations. A recent report, again by the Manhattan Project, alleges that portions of the stolen taxpayer fund from various schemes may have been funneled through an informal money transfer network. And that network is called, I think I have it written down here, Hawalas. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Hawals. Hawalas. It's to be a Somalian money transfer network. Ended up in the hands of terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab is a terrorist group linked to Al-Qaeda, okay? So federal prosecutors have confirmed that the money was used to purchase luxury vehicles and real estate in the U.S. and abroad. U.S. attorneys have not charged defendants as of November 2025. So these people still have not been charged as of yet. But obviously you have Trump, who is trying to bust all of that up, trying to, see what's going on in there and bust that up. All of that whole situation in Minnesota need to be busted up. If you're committing fraud, or you're committing scams, or you are committing criminal activities, your visa or your temporary visa or whatever it is that you're here on should be terminated. It should be terminated. Okay. Which Trump has already done through executive order. So I'm just going to kick back and see how that goes. Okay. I appreciate the hearts. There are 600 hearts so far, 600 likes. Much appreciated to the family. If I'm spitting flames, let me know in the comment section. Let me know. Let me know. Put you a like, a thumb, send me a heart, whatever it is. Okay. Like I said, it's not a requirement, but it's something that's always appreciated. All right. As a political response, Minnesota Republican lawmakers have called for a federal investigation into specific allegations of funding Al-Shabaab, okay? So the Minnesota Republicans issued a federal investigation into these whole allegations of this funding to a Somalian terrorist organization, okay? To let people, from a third world country come into the United States and set up that kind of shop to where they are funneling money to known terrorist organizations. You don't feel that that's a threat to the fabric of this country? Because I sure do. I feel that is a threat to the fabric of this country, and that is a threat to the stability of foundational Black Americans in this country as well, first and foremost, because anything that'll hurt the country is going to hurt foundational Black Americans first and the hardest. It's going to hit us the hardest, okay? So that's why I advocate for my people. All right. The DFL, also known as the Democratic Farmer Labor, leaders and community members have pushed back, accusing the reports of being politically motivated and whipping up hatred against the Somali community. And that's the whole race card thing. Oh, they picking on me because I'm a person of color and stuff like that. And Black Americans use that. And I feel that a lot of the times our reasoning is solidified due to the history of this country. But your reasoning, as far as a Somali American living here in Minnesota off of the visas, that's not your case, okay? Because of these scams, these crimes that are being committed, okay? So you're going to use the whole hatred against Somali community. This is not hatred against the Somali community in a whole. This is just calling out the criminality in the Somali community in Minnesota. That doesn't mean that people are saying that the whole Somali community in Minnesota are criminals. Okay? I know what it's like to be judged for what a few of your people are doing. I'm a Black man in America. So of course I know what it feels like to be judged for what maybe the bottom 20%, bottom 10% of your community might be doing fuck shit out there. And me as a hardworking middle-class Black man might have to catch the charges for it. Might have to catch shrapnel for that. Might have to catch some of the blowback. Might have to catch some of the backlash for that. I might have to catch some of the backlash for that. And these Somali on Somali crimes from these Somali gangs, which we're going to get into a little bit later, is always chalked down as black on black crime. So FBAs have to eat that. Black Americans have to eat that. That goes down as black on black crime, not Somali crime in America. That goes down as black on black crime. So you have immigrants here who are adding to that statistic of black on black crime. But since we started delineating from the diaspora, people are starting to see now, okay, these crimes that are being committed, a lot of these people are immigrants as well, not just black Americans, okay? So that's what the delineation movement has done. It forces us to separate people, and then you'll see, okay, well, these crimes that are happening in Minnesota, these fraudulent scams, these gang-related crimes and stuff like that from these Somali gangs, this is Somali on Somali crime, not black on black crime, because black in this country means black American or foundational black American. How do I know that? Because people come to this country, other melanated people come from other countries or from the diaspora, and they don't claim black at all. Now they're starting to claim black, some of them, because we're delineating, and they feel like they're being left behind on something, especially when it comes for black Americans' reparations. You know, they want to get a piece of that too. So they feel that they're being left behind. So now some of these people are claiming black. But let's be real. These people would come to this country and they used to tell us stuff like, I didn't even know I was black until I came to America. They would tell us that. They would tell us these type of things. Well, I'm surrounded by black people. The government is black. This person is black. That person's black. I grew up around black all my life. So when I came here, I didn't know I was black because that's just all I grew up with. Excuses and lies. You know damn well you black when you come here. You just don't want to identify yourself as black in America because that's going to tie you in with the foundational black Americans who took the term black and used it as a term of endearment, as a term of strength, as a term of power. We had foundational black Americans like James Brown telling us to be black and to be proud. We had movements like the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance, which popularized the term black and made being black something prideful. What's up? Hey, no, you cannot have my hat. It's my baby boy. Come over here messing with me when I'm doing my live. Anyways, go on back upstairs, okay? I'll be up there in a minute. All right? Your crazy self, boy. Yeah, that's my son there. My son Righteous messing with me. Yes, sir. But share this program. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Rebellious Rhymer Podcast on YouTube. Also, this program has been sponsored by Dubby. That is DUBBY.GG. Dubby is an energy drink that you mix with your water. It comes in many different flavors. If you make a purchase now using my promo code RRPW, you will get you a 10% discount on your purchase, okay? So don't forget to shop at W.GG and use my promo code. Use my promo code, family. Yeah, so all of this fraud with these programs and this feeding our future scandal and this $400 million dollars that's been embezzled from the American taxpayer. This money being sent to Al-Shabaab, a terrorist-linked organization, stuff like that. These are not good. That's not good. Something definitely needs to be done about that. So I think Trump is doing the right thing. We definitely need to send ICE out there and kind of bust some of that stuff up. That's just my opinion. This is not coming from a standpoint of hate, but it's coming from a standpoint of protecting ourselves from any type of ongoing terroristic threats. We need to protect ourselves from these type of things. So, President Trump, do your thing. I salute you, sir. I salute you. Okay? Yeah, so these investigations are ongoing, and the full scope of the financial losses and how funds were used is still being determined by authorities till this day. So we say $400 million have been used due to these autism scams, where these people are claiming that their children have autism, and they get some type of incentives for that. And that it is up to 400 million now, and is probably more, because it's still, like I'm saying, the investigation is still ongoing. So those are definitely issues that need to be addressed. And what is Ilhan Omar doing about any of this stuff? She's quiet. She's quiet with these type of things. She's letting all this fraud and all these scams go on. She's letting these Somali gang members run amok. If you are a person in a leadership position, you should at least, tell your people, hey, we have an opportunity here to be a part of the American dream and to help ourselves and to help our families. Don't come out here wilding out. Don't come out here starting gangs and banging on each other. Keep that war and tribal mentality in Somalia, which they are warring right now. The Somaliland, and all these other stuff. They got their little issues going on out there now. But don't bring that out here. Don't bring that out here. Especially as Black Americans, we've dealt with our gangbanging. We've dealt with our gangbanging issues in the past. Now we kind of calmed down with that stuff. As you notice, people used to talk about Crips and Bloods all the time, killing each other and all of that stuff. It's not as prevalent as it used to be. Okay? Because once crack left the Black neighborhoods, all that Crip and Blood shit died down drastically since the 90s, since the late 90s. Once the 2000s started coming around and crack started dying out and the competition wasn't there anymore because crack wasn't a big major seller anymore, that actually bought the gang activity, the gang banging activity, and the competition and all of that. It brought all of that down. Okay, so there is no Crip and Blood gang banging like people say that it is. I'm not saying that it still doesn't happen. Some banging doesn't happen, but those Crips and Bloods, they own businesses and shit. They own burger stands and clothing lines, and you got people like Nipsey, may he rest in peace. He was a true East African rider, by the way, who owned the Marathon stores. They owning businesses like that. Them Crips and Bloods ain't out there banging like that. Not no more. Not the way it used to be. Not since the crack epidemic has vanished. It's not like that no more. Speaking of gangs, let's talk about some of these Somali gangs that are running amok.
This is the Killer Chronicles. On March 30th, 2021, the owner of Arcade Auto Body Shop in St. Paul, Minnesota, was viciously gunned down inside his shop in broad daylight by an assailant who stood just a few feet away and fired round after round with a semi-automatic pistol until the gun was empty while the victim raised his hands in the air. When police investigated, there was no apparent reason why anyone would want to kill 36-year-old Mohammed Jama Samatar, a teacher and business owner who had worked at a local mosque and who was married with 2 daughters. But when they identified a suspect, 31-year-old Mohammed Mohamud Farah, the authorities discovered a motive that traced back 13 years. In his youth, Samatar had been linked to a Somali-American gang known as the Hot Boys, a group that reportedly originated as a band of singers before it turned to crime. In 2007, as a 22-year-old, he'd survived a shooting that put him into a coma, and a year later he was a person of interest in a homicide, but never charged. In 2009, Farah had told police that Samatar, quote, put a hit out on Farah's brother amid a gang conflict. Now, more than a decade later, Farah had gotten his revenge. Farah and Samatar had similar backgrounds. They'd both come to Minnesota from Somalia in their youth, fleeing violence and civil war. And yet in America they'd found themselves on opposite sides of a conflict that had nothing to do with their native country, but rather stemmed from gangs that originated in the Twin Cities. In the end, Farah received 27 years in prison. Quote, "You left my kids fatherless and took away their happiness," Samatar's wife told him the day he was sentenced. Samatar's murder is one of the latest homicides tied to a relatively small but notorious cropping of gangs in Minnesota that have slowly grown over the past 25 years.
In the state of Minnesota, some of these people are banging on each other, man, for issues that have nothing to do with what's going on in Somalia. You know, you got gangs like the Hot Boys. You know, this is a gang, it's one of the earliest gangs in Minnesota. And they started off as a singing group. And then before they started engaging in criminal activity. So that's the Hot Boys. The Hot Boys, you got a gang called the Hot Boys. You got the Somali Bloods. You got the Somali GDs. You got the Somali Outlaws. You got the Lady Outlaws, which is a female sect of the Somali Outlaws. I mean, you got the St. Paul Soldiers. You got the 1627 Boys, which is an interesting group. They get that name 1627 Boys from a building in Minnesota, a high-rise building that they migrated in the 90s. It kind of started out of that building, that 1627 building, and and a crew came out of that, the 1627 Boys. You got the Murder Squad, and so many other Somali gangs out there running amok, man, scamming, killing each other, robbing each other, banging on each other, banging on Black Americans, banging on their own people, doing rap videos and shit. You know, the issue is the young people are trying to assimilate into American culture, but they are assimilating to the bottom 10% of Black American culture. That's not appreciated. That's not appreciated, man. And these Somalis don't want to assimilate into American culture the way they should. You hear Ilhan Umar in her speeches, everything is Somalian. I'm doing this for Somalian people. I'm doing that for the Somalian people. She don't give a damn about Black Americans. African Americans, she may have used us to help her get in the position that she's in, but she don't do nothing for us. She don't give a damn about foundational Black Americans. These Somalis are some of the meanest damn Africans. These motherfuckers are some of the meanest goddamn Africans that I've ever met, and that's just personally, to be honest with you. Goddamn, them some mean looking ugly motherfuckers, man. No, I'm just, I'm making jokes, but I'm being serious at the same time, man. I mean, goddamn, man, these dudes, look at Captain Phillips, man. Goddamn pirating ships and shit. With the fucking AKs and assault rifles. They be wilding, man. They wilding out there in Minnesota. Yeah, that need to be busted up, man. Something need to be done about that. ICE need to go in there and bust all that shit up. Ship them all out of here, if you ask me. The ones who are committing this fraud and the ones who are doing all this gangbanging and killing each other and robbing people and stuff like that. Yeah, something definitely needs to be done about that, man. Something definitely needs to be done about that. You say call Trump? Yeah, I believe that Trump was already called, and he's trying to bring that to heel. He's trying to definitely do something about that. He's definitely trying to do something about that, man, because it's out of control. It is getting out of control, and it's dangerous, man. It's a threat to our well-being as Americans, and not because it's such a large population, but it sets a precedent for other people to come here to the country and do the same thing. How many more immigrants would the Democrats have let over here had they would have stayed in office? Imagine stuff like that growing, getting larger and larger in population. These people are literally trying to overtake our country. And they said it. Ilhan Omar said stuff like that. They're trying to really get a foothold in and to take over our democracy. And we are just not going to have that. It's not going down. So yes, I think ICE need to get up in there and they need to break all that shit up. Break all of that up. If your paperwork is faulty, you need to get up out of here. If you committed any crimes or if you have any falsification on your paperwork, on your visas, anything like that, you need to get up out of here. And that's just what it is, man. That is just what it is. No love laws. Personally speaking, as a black American, I know that what these people say about us. They committing all this damn crime and all this fraud, but they talk a lot of shit about us, talking about, the typical stereotypical talking points that we have a lot of baby mamas and we are 13% of the population and commit 50% of the crimes. The Somalians, they are very mean and very racist towards black Americans. Very racist towards black Americans. We all kind of Jareers. I done heard Somalians make monkey noises and call us the N-word with the hard ER. Like, what do you think you are? You think you come here and they see you as any different? Calling us a monkey and you the one from Africa and you talking about monkeys and shit. I be hearing these people say these type of things, man. That's not to say all of them, but I've heard a lot of them say those type of things. They have a disdain for black Americans. A lot of people from the continent do. The ones that are here. Now you got some writers who are back on the continent who we deal with, but the ones that are here, a lot of them are an issue. A lot of them are an issue, and it's something that needs to be dealt with. And, I don't care how Pan-African you are, we cannot ignore these issues. I don't care how Pan-African you are, we cannot ignore immigrants coming into this country, getting some type of seat at the table of our politics and undermining black Americans. We cannot allow that to happen. We can't allow that to happen. So if your paperwork is not right, off you go. I have no feelings about it. It is what it is, man. We have to protect ourselves from this attempted destiny swap. We have to protect ourselves from that. Like I said, it's going to continue to get worse. The scams is going to continue to get worse. The gang activity is going to continue to get worse. The vitriol and hatred is going to continue to get worse if we do not deal with this in a nutshell. And that's why I support Donald Trump and his attempt to rid the country of some of these scammers and gangbangers, murderers, you name it. Fraudulent paperwork holders, all of that, man. All of that. Because as a black American, I couldn't go to their country and get away with none of that. I couldn't get away with none of that. And also, as a foundational black American living in this country, I have to follow the rules. So what makes you think that you can come here and you don't have to follow the same rules? If I don't follow these rules, I get locked up. I get taken down. I get assets taken from me. I get properties taken from me. I get to lose my freedom. Why shouldn't it be the same for you? You're nobody special. You're nobody special. Okay? We all have to do our part here to keep this country safe. We all have to do our part here. All right? So, how long I've been on here? Yeah, I've been going for a little over an hour. But yeah, man. That's it, man. I'm pretty much going to go ahead and wrap it up. But like I said, we definitely are headed in the right direction as far as busting up that whole situation in Minnesota. It needs to be dealt with. You have the police chief, a sheriff deputy, Somali sheriff deputy out there talking about he's going to only serve Somalis.
markaan haddaan askarnahay Soomaaliyeed ininka ayna shaqeynaa habeenii maalinba ininka ayna taaganahay ma fahanteen horta sida ogtihiinba wadankan anaga qaxootiyan imaanay askar Soomaaliya ma jirin marka hadda anaga markiina la haygareeyay waxay noqotay inaan dadkeena u shaqeyno dadkii dhaqankii ma fahmeynaa luqadii ma fahmeynaa culture-kii ma fahmeynaa marka qofka kale ma taqaana ajnabiga abadaanka iyo anaga waa kala duwanahay because qofkii gaabkii waxa we build that bridge kaas ma fahantay marka insha Allah waa mahadsantiin again ogaada askari kasta oo Soomaaliya dalka iyo dabadaba ininku inii shaqeeyaa habeenkii marka hurudaan iyo marka ma taqaana achievetaanba ininka inii taaganahay oo
That's very dangerous for us foundational Black Americans, because if you're only going to serve Somalis and I call you and I have an issue, you're going to probably minimize my issues. Okay. You're going to minimize my issues because I'm not Somali. I, as a Black American, cannot get on camera on national TV and say, I'm going to only serve foundational Black Americans. I can't say that. Even if that's my intention, I can't get on national TV and say that. I couldn't get away with that. So you can't say something like that either. That's an issue. That's an issue, family. But yeah, so like I said, we need to go ahead and bust that up. We need to go ahead and bust all that up. I believe that ISIS is going to do what they're supposed to be doing and bust all those shenanigans up in Minnesota, and I'm here for it, family. But I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. This has been another episode of the Rebellious Rhymer podcast. I am your host, Shane the Artist. And remember, the revolution starts with you, all right? Peace and power.